So tell me, how are you feeling disconnected right now? I know we all are. It is the beginning of fall, autumn slump, seasonal affect disorder. I totally suffer from that. But do you feel disconnected from your life to whether it's work, whether it's relationship or situationship or just everyday grind? It feels like you're just going through the motions, like it's Groundhog's Day, and you're super engaged, not feeling fulfilled with life right now. Well, you're not alone. What if I told you that the secret to getting your life back, to having purpose and being fulfilled with joy is something that is simple and something you might have overlooked? Yes, exactly. Imagine you waking up having that joie de vivre again, and you are excited about life. You're excited about what's to come. You're excited about what's in front of your face. Well, the key is right in front of you. And that's what we're going to dive in today. But I want you to know that you feeling the way you are feeling right now is okay, because I'm with you. I am giving this message to you, and I've got more fingers pointed back at me. So we are going to get through this seasonal slump together. Stay tuned for more. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another Mindful Monday. That's right, I'm your girl, Arika Trimnell, also known as the Mindful Mistress here. I am here to offer you and me both a unique perspective. This is to help both of us grow so we can start embracing every single aspect of our journey to break free of the prism of limitations. So today, the prism we are breaking free of is just feeling disconnected and not engaged. So we are going to explore a powerful yet often overlooked concept. It's the concept of flow. Or some people, if you're in the upper echelons, you might actually say it's psychological flow if we want to be very specific. But my goal is by the end of this episode that you and I both understand how flow can transform our daily lives, where we are just now maybe going through the motions, just checking the box off until the holiday break comes because we're just tired. How we can transform this moment into a moment where we are more engaged in life, where we have deeper connections, we are more productive, and ultimately at the end of the day, we're happier. We're making the steps that are best in our highest interests because we are that much more in love with this moment, this journey, this period, this color, we will, of our lives. Let's face it, there are so many of us that just feel disconnected and out of sorts. And funny enough, or not funny, but if you're here in the US, the Surgeon General literally declared that loneliness is an epidemic. And it affects so many of us, especially right now as we get into the fall and the winter months where we don't have as much vitamin D, we don't have as much sun, the days are shorter, the nights are a lot longer, it's colder, all of the things that make us want to disconnect, want to hibernate like nature. But studies actually show that there are over, I want to say it's like 2/3 of people who feel disengaged from not only their personal life, but their professional lives as well. And half of us are just plain exhausted and unmotivated. And there is a staggering 43 of us that feel like there is a lack of meaning in our relationships. Now, if you want to comment below, you totally can comment if that's you, if you are feeling that way, so we can all stand together in community. But I'm not asking you to out yourself. Know that I definitely fit in maybe multiple of those particular buckets. And one of the things that is concerning is that we have this kind of overarching theme of this loneliness epidemic that the Surgeon General declared as well. So it's this profound sense of isolation that we're feeling after the pandemic, right? We all went through the pandemic together, but yet separate. And it's a trauma that we all experience. And because of this, we see so many different repercussions, and we see the direct impact that it has had on not only our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health and well-being, that we now feel so much more disconnected. We lose our touch, our sense of self, our sense of purpose, which really, really, really deepens the spiral that we can go into this unhappiness, depression, and can lead to all sorts of things. But today I want to talk about a solution because I suffer from seasonal depression. So I can start to feel myself. Now, if you follow me on social media, the Mindful Mistress, I did tag a video of me shopping for my favorite supplements around this time. I have been more proactive this year than I have ever been about staying on top of my mental and emotional health and the supplements that really, really help me when I feel that seasonal depression starting to take its grips and its hold of me where I don't want to go out of the house. I don't want to do anything. So please follow me, watch the video. But another thing that I wanted to talk about, supplements are very helpful, but without the right mindset, or I'll say tools or foundations, you could have all the supplements in your closet, in your pantry, wherever you keep your supplements, and they not be helpful because you're not in the right mindset. You forget those tools that you even have. So by equipping our minds, which is what I hope to do today as we talk about flow, that really just helps build on this foundation. So we have multiple tools that we could use because maybe I don't feel like taking supplements today. And so maybe I need to dig into maybe the spiritual care aspect or the emotional care aspect that's going to help me embrace this moment, this journey of my life. Now, I'm not saying this for us to ignore seasonal depression or seasonal affect disorder or autumn slump or whatever you want to call it, but it's about finding ways to embrace it, whatever that looks like for you. So as we get into it, I want to talk about flow. Some of us have heard of flow. If you've seen the movie Soul has a beautiful depiction of what flow or psychological flow is. But flow or psychological flow is a mental state of being just completely immersed in a particular activity where nothing else matters, nothing else even exists. It's that in the zone that you hear about. It's the feeling where time just flies away, where distractions, what is that? You are just so zoned in, you are fully absorbed in what it is you're doing. Like I get flow, a little caveat here. I get flow when I do these. It's kind of weird because I don't like recording myself or being on video, which I'm doing, when I do these Mindful Mondays, but I get into a state of flow when I start doing these. Nothing else matters. Of course, when people come through and they distract me, then I'm forced to deal with those distractions. But I literally get into this flow state where I'm just so absorbed with the content, what I'm talking about, whether it's a story or something that is really engaging. When people are in flow, because sometimes when they talk about certain aspects of what they do or what they like, they light up, right? So that's another way how we can depict whether or not someone's in flow state. So this state it's really not just observe. It's not just if you're an athlete or an artist. It's something that is accessible to all of us, whatever your passions, hobbies, dreams, whatever that is, you can access flow state. So this could be whether you're working on a project at school or you're playing a musical instrument or you're gardening. Flow just happens when you are just so deeply engaged in something. You are enjoying the process. You are being challenged by something. It's challenging you just enough, but not too much to where you're like, nope, I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm gonna do something else. But it's like just enough. It keeps piquing your interest so that you want to stay locked in. Locked in like that. That is how you describe flow. Now we get into the science of flow. Flow is a immensely powerful thing because it totally transforms our mental and emotional states. And so when you are in flow, your concentration heightens, your sense of control feels very effortlessly. And most importantly, you are just in full enjoyment, full bliss of what you're doing. It's a mindful state where you are completely and utterly present and free of external pressures. It is, if we all could do meditation and experience that flow, we probably would all do meditation all the time, right? But again, it is a state that can be accessed through meditation, but it's definitely a mindfulness practice that, again, like I said, whether or not you're doing it in an instrument, you're gardening, these are mindfulness activities. And it's an activity where you can hit into that flow state. You can get into the place in life where you are fully tapped in and engaged. Imagine going from disengaged with life, waking up feeling like it's Groundhog Day again. Great, right? You're going through the motions to tapping in to a place and space where you feel belong, where you know what you're doing, you were getting challenged and you were in that flow state and nothing else matters. Exactly. So research shows that flow state shares very similar physical and emotional effects to mindfulness and meditation. So research backs that. It improves your mood, it reduces stress, it increases your productivity, and by lowering your stress hormones like cortisol, it even helps you with slowing down that age process. That's right. It boosts your immune system. So as we are in these cold winter months, finding flow is so important. Maybe you don't get the vitamin D. Maybe you don't get the St. John's wort. Maybe you're not getting the ashwagandha, but your drug of choice is flow. And that's okay. You got to figure out what works for you. And if flow works for you, or maybe you do a combination of both, hey, it's whatever is going to be helpful for you. And that is in your best and highest interest. It is not what I say it is what works for you. So flow is the key to loving your life, believe it or not. The real magic of flow, and sorry, I've got something in my eye, is that you find a connection. You find your purpose in flow. It's when you engage in activities that you value and they align with your goals, and it's generally things that come naturally or that there's some sort of draw or pull that maybe is unexplainable. It's not logical, illogical, and it makes you want to further engage, maybe further find out. Maybe it piques that curiosity or that child's mind that we would say in a lot of meditation circles. Flow work can be something that is goal oriented, and it just creates more meaning and allows you to access greater power. So remember this, when you find your purpose, flow actually becomes a norm rather than an exception. It's your sense of accomplishment grows and life starts to feel a lot more meaningful when you find your purpose, because in finding your purpose, the steps that it takes to fulfill your purpose or that are in alignment with your purpose, they no longer feel like arduous steps. You know what I mean? You could have a task. Like, I used to hate when teachers and bosses would give you work or homework that to me was like a check the box thing. When, let's say, that homework or that project or that assignment that someone gives you or that you come across is tied to your purpose, that's when those steps that you have to take, that's when you have to, if you're, I'm dating myself, when you're writing it down and maybe doing that math, it doesn't feel like homework. It just is part of the process, and it's part of the process that you are in love with. Like you geek out from doing the numbers in the spreadsheet and the Excel, all of the formulas in Excel and all of the things, right? You geek out from these little tasks, which maybe would have annoyed you because it wasn't attached to your purpose. But on the flip side of that, it's important to recognize when you are not in flow. What does that look like to you? So some signs that you're not in flow could be you're constantly distracted. Maybe you're bored, or you are just uninvested in the task at hand. It's something that feels like that check the box. I just have to do it because someone says I have to do it, but I'm not understanding, or the connection has not been made to the greater purpose and how this affects maybe me, my family, my finances, the things in life that you value. Another thing could be if you were comparing your work to others, it could be because you maybe feel inadequate and therefore flow state is not activated. If you're experiencing perfectionism, that could be a sign too. But, we also have to be mindful because perfectionism is a sign that, you know, you maybe had to work to get the approval of the adults, i.e., parents, guardians, caregivers in your life. So that could be tied to some neglect or emotional trauma you've been through. So just one caveat there. But if any of these sound familiar, it's okay. It's okay to be in this state right now. It's okay to acknowledge and know what it feels like, because I always say awareness is key. If you go to any program or any intervention, if we work together, you can't change anything you don't have awareness on. So once you realize, oh my God, I'm not in flow and I want to activate flow, good. This is like perfect, because that's step one. Knowing we are not in flow right now, and this is not where we want to be. And where we want to be is more in love with life, more engaged, more connections, more passion, just more of the soft life, if you will. So it's important to know what it isn't so you can create what it is for you again. So let's break it down into maybe just some simple steps that could help us access flow more often. Does that sound like a good idea? So some things that I like to do are identifying things that block me when I'm feeling a little bit insecure or self-conscious, and maybe when I'm doing a particular task. So if I tend to maybe compare myself to others or engage in negative self-talk when I'm doing these activities, it's these obstacles that can really keep us from entering that flow state. So by becoming aware of these limiting patterns and recognizing this is what's holding me back from flow, it's not the actual task, but it's how my view, my perception of the task. It's how I have that negative self-talk when I'm doing said task. That could be a lot of things that I need to like work on my prism and break it and expand myself, but that just one way. Another way is to create sustainable change that helps foster flow. Now, you're probably saying like, okay, well, what does that mean? So once we've identified that, these are the obstacles or the roadblocks that I have, now it's time to make a change, right? How do I remove those obstacles and roadblocks? That's what I'm talking about. So obviously, adjusting your mindset, focusing on your progress versus maybe, okay, I am of a certain age, and people of a certain age typically have this, and this. Now, in what I just did, I create a whole bunch of barriers to my happiness, right? So I need to shift my mindset. And that was me comparing myself to others. I'm definitely not going to be in flow if I'm comparing myself to others. It's about me. It's about my journey. It's about being in love with where I am, even though I have no clue where I'm going, but being in love with it. And so I say that because flow happens when your sense of accomplishment does not come from comparing yourself to somebody else's abilities and growth, because their perspective, their lived experience is completely different from yours. Flow happens when you aren't in that comparison mode. So another way to induce flow, think of like a guided meditation or a visualization that could really help you tap into flow. I think of the movie Soul, because in that movie, there's one of the characters is going through like a flow state. I think they were painting and one time with music. But think about things in life that you love. Imagine yourself doing that. Tap into those emotions. Feel yourself. Try creating an environment, whether it's a vision board, it's a room, it's an area where it helps you tap into those emotions, helps you tap into that flow state. Maybe you are picking up that instrument, right? That's an easy way to do it, especially if that's what helps you tap into flow. But when you're away from that instrument, what are things that you can do to recreate that? So your body, because remember, your body can't tell real from fake. So you can use your imagination to make it seem like, yes, you are playing that instrument when you're not, therefore inducing that flow state. Another thing, I am a girl of affirmations. Now, I didn't always used to be that girl, but I am. And so we're here today. So another thing you can do is positive self-talk. Build yourself up. Positive affirmations, even if it's neutral affirmations, but that can help shift your mindset from negative Nancy to positive Paul and invite the flow gods to come on in and for you to be able to access that particular state. So I hope that this is helpful, but let me share. I had a client of mine who was an overachieving manager, and was constantly feeling drained and constantly feeling like, oh, you've got to hit the next step. I've got to achieve more than my peers. And the more this person began to achieve, the more stress he had, the more disconnected from his family. And he didn't feel that genuine happiness he felt when he first got that leadership role. And we uncovered quite easily that he wasn't in flow state and that he actually was being less productive because the limiting beliefs he put around being better than other people, right, at his job, as being a manager, sales, all of the things, that was actually blocking his flow or limiting his flow. And so once we were able to tap back into his why, essentially, right? Why did you want this position? Why did you want this role? What type of manager or leader did you want to be? Okay, now let's focus on those things, because from those things, you will be a successful manager regardless, right? The numbers will come, the money will come, the sales, all of the things will come, but focusing on the things that you love, because then all of the other, right, spreadsheets, reporting to this boss, that, those things no longer become obstacles. Those things no longer become irritants, because you are so in love with what you are doing, and the activities that you are spending majority of your time are engrossed in the things that you love to do that induce that flow state. So take from that story what you will. What in your life, I used to have a good friend of mine, and we keep each other accountable when things are going not as we pictured them. And, when you have a plan and the universe has another plan, and you're just like, geez. So we have a saying that we say, it's like, okay, well, what's blocking you from your bliss right now? And I encourage you or challenge you to answer that question. What's blocking you from your bliss, AKA your flow state? And when you're able to answer that question, what's blocking you from your bliss, then you're able to figure out, how do I work backwards so that I am now in that blissful, in that flow state? Again, remember, flow although you become more productive in flow has nothing to do with productivity. Yes, it's a productivity hack, but at the core of it, it's centered around alignment, it's centered around engagement, it's centered around purpose, having a driven life, and identifying the mindset and identifying the experiences that you want to have that create these things so that you do become more productive, more engaged. How about deeper connections? I mean, it's about to be holiday time, y'all. I want like deep connections. I'm not a fan of, the little pleasantries. I want to know, like, how are you really doing? I could care less about your job. I can care less about all of these things. I want to know how you are doing. Feel free to let me know in the comments. I love reading them and responding back. I do actually read them. But so beautiful souls, I so encourage you to find your flow this season. We can't waste another year. We do not have another year to give to the things in life that we do not care about. So find your flow. I encourage you to find your flow. And when you do, let me know. Let me know when you find your flow. And when you do, like, you will tap into a life that you had no clue was there. It was right in front of your face and you had no idea. The connections you have, the love of life you have. And I want to thank you so much, because next time when you tune in, because you're going to be, I know you're going to be so in flow. You were just going to be like, yeah, rah, rah, rah. I want to thank you so much for being here with me. Remember, I'm Arika Trimnell, the Mindfulness Mistress. I look forward to exploring life with you, making these transformative change. And until next Monday, remember that happiness isn't something that you chase. It's something that you flow into. Bye.